you are new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Nissan in Frederick, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. Today, we are in the brand new 2025 Nissan Armada because it has been completely redesigned for the 2025 model year. You also have more horsepower, you also have more torque, and in case you didn't know already, this is a 3-row SUV. It seats 7 or 8 passengers. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2025 Armada. You got the SV starting at $56,520, SL for $62,970, Platinum for $69,930, Pro 4X 4-wheel drive, which is the trim level we are in today, starting at $73,740, and lastly, the Platinum Reserve going for $76,990. By the way, that was all pricing for the rear-wheel drive configuration with the exception of the Pro 4X that comes standard with 4-wheel drive. If you wanted to add 4-wheel drive to any of those other trim levels, you can do that. Simply add $3,000 then to any of those prices. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant is going to be the same, and it is new for the 2025 Armada. Powering this beast is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, cranking out 425 horsepower at 5,600 RPM. That's a 25 horsepower boost from last year. 516 pound-feet of torque coming in at 3,600 RPM. That's 103 pound-feet of torque more than the 2024 model year. That's pretty crazy. Again, power center rear wheels or all wheels through a 9-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know, of course, we'll be testing out here in a little bit. As far as the 0 to 60 time goes, it comes in at approximately 6 seconds flat, which is extremely impressive for an SUV of this size. Top speed, if you're interested, 120 miles per hour with MPG numbers coming in at 16 in the city, 20 on the highway for the rear wheel drive, 16 city, 19 then on the highway for the 4-wheel drive, taking premium unleaded fuel for better performance at least. But before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration test here in the Armada, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's a circular dial located just up top of the shift buttons, and yes, in order to change the gear, in order to put it in reverse and all that, they are shift buttons here this year, so wanted to mention that. But drive modes are going to include rock, sand, mud and rut, snow, standard, eco, sport, and tow. That's a lot of drive modes, my goodness. But adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, and suspension settings there as well. So now that I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straight away. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react for us, and of course, let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, so before we do this acceleration test and the paddle shifter test here, I did want to mention there is a full manual shift mode. You just simply press the drive button one more time, and that tells me what gear I'm in up on the digital gauges here in 3, 2, 1, yow! Whoa, that's weird. Okay, definitely a delay to the paddle shifters, and I feel like I want to do that acceleration test one more time because there was such a delay to the paddle shifters. Probably wouldn't use them in the Armada if I'm being honest, so that was weird. I did not expect that, honestly. I kind of expected more lightning quick reaction times because, I don't know, Nissan's pretty good with that usually, so I don't know. It is what it is, I suppose. So let's go ahead and give that acceleration test one more shot here in 3, 2, 1, come to a stop, go! Ah, there it is. All right, yeah, that is plenty of an acceleration for merging onto the highway, but yeah, really disappointed with the paddle shifters, but this thing is pretty lightning quick when you give back full control to the Armada, so Nissan does know how to do a twin turbo V6, you know, hence the GTR. They've been doing it for quite a while now, so yeah, nothing wrong with that acceleration. Very smooth transmission shifts when you let the car have full control. Not so much with the paddle shifter mode, but who's going to be using paddle shifters in this thing anyways? But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 13.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13.8-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6 easier stopping distance goes, it comes in at a respectable 123 feet. As far as braking feel goes, is 100% on the firmer side of things. So honestly, the 123-foot number is pretty darn impressive considering the size of this SUV. Typically, you find right around 130 feet for larger SUVs like this, if not upper 130s. I've seen as high as 142 feet in a larger SUV. So 123, that's perfectly on point, especially for the size of this thing. And again, braking feel on the firmer side, which I personally love. But anyways, touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get an independent double wishbone type front suspension. In the back, independent wishbone type rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. But also, if you were to go with the Pro 4X like we have today, or the Platinum Reserve, you also get an adaptive air suspension, and that is stinking sweet, because the reason being is because it's adaptive, so it monitors each shock absorber individually, not only adjusting to the road imperfections, giving you a smoother ride, but it also tightens up that suspension during heavy cornering, giving you better handling. But it's also an air suspension, giving you the very best ride quality with that as well. So I always say this when it comes to suspension: if you want the smoothest ride, you always look for 2 additional things that most vehicles don't give you, unless they're like Mercedes-Benz or something like that. That's going to be an adaptive suspension and an air suspension, and that is what the Armada is giving you in this particular trim level, at least. So yeah, ride quality, that is one of the first things I noticed. It's incredibly smooth, so super nice ride in the Armada without a doubt, at least in our Pro 4X trim that we have with us here today. And then the second thing I noticed when I first got in this one was the steering feel. It's extremely on the heavier side of things when you go at slow speeds. At least it loosens up at higher speeds, but I love that. I love a heavy steering feel, so it's just right for me in the Armada. As far as cabin noise goes, that's another thing. This is an extremely serene cabin, like very little noise, road noise or wind noise coming into the cabin, so big fan of that as well. And by the way, the acoustic laminated front windshield does come standard on every single trim level across the board of this thing, so that's certainly going to deaden a lot of the cabin noise right there, so I love that. Touching our rear visibility, this is another thing I really like. With this being a larger SUV with a third row, a lot of times the third row headrest will protrude up and completely eliminate that rear visibility out the rear view mirror, but they actually sink down into the seats with the Armada, so that, for that reason, the visibility is perfectly fine, so I don't have any issues there. Rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard on every single trim level across the board, so you gotta love that as well in terms of forward visibility. And if you wanted a head-up display, that is going to come on either the Platinum or the Platinum Reserve, and that's going to display your speed limit, and safety features up onto your windshield, better helping you keep your eyes on the road yet again. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our completely redesigned 2025 Nissan Armada. All right, you guys, here she is, the new 2025 Nissan Armada, finished in super black, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name. But again, completely redesigned for 2025. But before I get ahead of myself, let's go ahead and start with where this one is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter J, indicating that the Armada is built and assembled in Japan, a JDM SUV. You gotta love that. But let's go ahead and start up front. You will find an upper chrome kind of bar in the front grille for all trim levels but the Pro 4X that we have with us here today, because the Pro 4X is going to have a lot of gloss black finishes, and that includes the front grille as well. Another thing that the Pro 4X has are these little silver elements just above the front grille, and if you're familiar with the Pro 4X trim levels with the Nissan lineup, you're going to find that that is also found on other vehicles like the Rogue and a lot of others as well. So that is just something that they do for the Pro 4X to kind of make it stand out a little bit. To the sides, full LED headlights, both low and high beam, coming standard with LED daytime running lights. Get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams, so if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams, and when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. Then if you look down below, you're going to find LED fog lights for the Platinum trim level and up, little added illumination. Also, I'm looking down below, we got some red tow hooks, of course, for the Pro 4X as well, so if you get stuck in the sand at Aztec Island or something like that, you're covered, so that's pretty cool as well. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, all the way to the top, roof rails will come standard, of course. We have some crossbars actually up there as well. Floating roof line coming standard, but the thing that separates the floating roof line here, for us at least, is this kind of red accent piece with Armada etched into it as well. So that is kind of a cool touch that they did there. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. But rear privacy glass does come standard for every single trim level across the board. You do have some functional front fender ventilation up there as well. I wanted to show that to you guys. That's pretty cool. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. For the SL trim level and up, they're also going to be heated with integrated turn signals and power folding, and puddle lights actually do come standard for all trim levels as well, so that's pretty stinking cool. Then take a look down at the wheel setup. 18-inch aluminum alloys for the SV, 20-inch aluminum alloys for the SL, Pro 4X, and Platinum, and then 22-inch aluminum alloys for the Platinum Reserve. And of course we got some running boards down there as well, which is definitely nice. Definitely helped me get into this one, but that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, and so now since we are around to the back of this one, very boxy back end here. That's the first thing I'm noticing, but you do have the rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. If you're curious where the rear window wiper is, that is going to be tucked away up underneath of that rear spoiler. Hopefully you guys, there it is, and there you guys can see that, so that is pretty cool right there. But also have LED taillights. They do come standard for all trim levels across the board. You got the Armada lettering. Ours is finished in gloss black since we have the Pro 4X, of course. Just below it all, you will find a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away underneath on the passenger side there. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Armada, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, it is a power lift gate for the SL trim level and up. And then of course a hands-free power lift gate is available. There is a button on the key fob. There's a rubberized button on the lift gate itself then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity behind that third row comes in at 20.4 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, the third row does fold down, bumping that up to 56.3 cubic feet. And then with all rows folded, that is going to come in at a very impressive 97.1 cubic feet. That's a ton of space, so that's definitely respectable there. 40-20-40 split as far as the rear seats go. You do have tie-down anchors back there. There's some grocery bag hooks, of course, cargo lighting back there as well. Then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you'll find a decent amount actually of in-floor storage back there. So I definitely like seeing that, and also 120 volt power outlet back there as well. I don't want to forget to mention that. But then making our way up to the third row legroom, that is going to come in at 32.9 inches, which is actually kind of respectable for a third row. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the third row. And like always, you can move that second row forward a little bit if you did need a little more space for the third row passenger. So that is available. Of course, you got cup holders back there. As far as the rear ventilation goes, that's going to be located kind of on the ceiling of this one. So all three rows are going to be comfortable there. And there's actually USB charging ports for both third row passengers as well. So I always like seeing that for in case you have any kids back there. But then making our way up to the second row legroom, that comes in at 39.2 inches. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall still. This is how much space I had in the second row. And again, second row can move forward and back to make more space if you needed it. As far as the seating goes, as far as bench versus captain's chairs, you get 8 seats, meaning the bench seating for the SV and SL trim levels, and then captain's chairs, meaning 7 seats for the Platinum, Pro 4X, and Platinum Reserve trim levels. And of course, you can kind of alter that a little bit if you wanted to. There's different optional packages there, but heated rear seats are going to come with the Platinum and Platinum Reserve if you wanted those. Tri-zone climate control actually comes standard for all trim levels, so the rear passengers can actually set their own temperatures back there if you wanted to do that. Got a couple USB charging ports for the second row as well. And one thing I do wish the second row had though was rear window sunshades, so I think that would be pretty cool back there. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the front seats. Leatherette seating coming with the SV and SL, quilted leather for the Platinum, Pro 4X, and Platinum Reserve. Heated front seats for the SL trim level and up. Power driver seat for all trim levels across the board. Ventilated front seats for the Platinum, Platinum Reserve is going to be optional on the Pro 4X. Memory settings for the SL trim level and up. That's on the driver's side door here, of course. If you want a driver and passenger massaging seats, go with the Platinum Reserve trim level. But overall, the first thing I said when I hopped in this one, when I was talking to myself, was that these are some of the most comfortable seats. Like, this is the perfect road trip vehicle just specifically for the seats alone, they are so comfortable. Some of the most comfortable seats out there. I can only imagine getting the massaging seats on top of that, but even without the massaging seats, these things are so comfortable. Like one of the most comfortable seats I've sat in quite a while, so good job Nissan on that. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is going to be leather wrapped for all trim levels across the board. I like the orange stitching since we have the Pro 4X, of course, and if you wanted a heated steering wheel, go with the SV trim level and up. That button is located kind of just underneath of the volume knob. In the center kind of display stuff we got going on there, but that's pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. If you're familiar with Nissan, you know this key. It is a heavy duty key, so I like it for that reason. You got Nissan logo at the top, lock, unlock, the button to pop the rear lift gate there. The circular button, that is going to be your remote start. You gotta love that, so you can warm this thing up on super cold days in Western Maryland. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start, so all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that gloss black engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee. And so when it comes to the gauges, it looks okay. I don't have any problems with it. The tachometer is going to be all the way to your left. Speedometer is on your right. There are some steering wheel mounted controls found on the right side of the steering wheel to control what is actually displayed up on the digital gauges there. You do have outside temperature. You have how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There's trip A, trip B, so it's a decent looking gauge cluster. Wouldn't mind a little more customization to it. At least I couldn't figure out how to go ahead and change like the loadouts up there. Maybe you are able to do it, but if you are able to, they need to make it a little bit easier to find because I couldn't find it, but it looks good nonetheless. I just like customization. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. A panoramic moonroof is going to come on the Platinum and Platinum Reserve. It's going to be optional on the Pro 4X, an option that we don't have with us here today, unfortunately. Overhead sunglass holder is going to come standard for all trim levels across the board. That feels high quality up there. Auto dimming rear view mirror is going to come on the SL trim level and up. You're going to have a wireless phone charger also for the SL trim level and up. I like that. Universal garage door opener for the SL trim level and up. That seems to be the sweet spot, I guess. But overall, they did a pretty darn good job with the interior quality. So a lot of soft touch finishes on the doors. I like the orange contrast stitching. They put a little bit of a design just above the passenger side glove box here. It kind of feels like a wood kind of trim, so I like that as well. Some massive grab handles for both the front and rear passengers. That's pretty cool too. Just behind all the shift buttons there, you got a couple cup holders there, and within the center armrest, there's a little button for that. There is it's an okay amount of storage for that. A little bit of LED lighting within that center console as well, and everything's kind of finished in like this felt-like finish, so I like that too. You also have a little bit of hidden storage found underneath of the wireless phone charger too, so if you want to hide a purse down there or just something you want to conceal, that is another option you got there. But like I said, overall everything is definitely finished quite nicely in the Armada. I don't have any issues with it. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen. There's a couple different screens available here. 12.3-inch color touchscreen display is going to come with the SV and SL, but then you get bumped up to a 14.3-inch color touchscreen display for the Platinum, Pro 4X, and Platinum Reserve. Either way, you got Bluetooth and audio streaming. Either way, you get wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Factory navigation system is going to come on the SL trim level and up. And there's a ton of stuff you could check out up there. You can actually choose to adjust the heated steering wheel, heated seat buttons up there if you wanted to. You can adjust the interior ambient lighting if you wanted to up there as well, along with your radio information, of course. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are two of them. 6-speaker sound system is going to come with the SV trim level only, but all other trim levels are going to get a 12-speaker Klipsch sound system. I know that's not how you say it, but that is how I'm going to pronounce it. It's a Klipsch sound system. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out this 12-speaker Klipsch sound system that we have with us here today. Alright, plenty of bass there, plenty of clarity. The bass actually felt like it was kind of coming through the seat a little bit, which I'm always a fan of. So that's a really good sound system, quite honestly. I've never heard of Klipsch before, but they did a pretty good job there. So definitely am a fan of that. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the Armada in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. One of the higher quality rear view cameras, as well as extremely high definition. Then if you were to go with the SL trim level and up, you also get a surround view monitor there to the left, giving you that bird's eye view, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so this one is not yet rated by IIHS. I usually like to start by mentioning the rating there, but it's not yet rated, so do your own research on that one. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, traffic sign recognition, blind spot monitoring system, lane keep assist, driver attention monitoring system, Pro Pilot Assist 1.0, adaptive cruise control with stop and go, front and rear parking sensors. That usually doesn't come standard, so I like that. And of course, if you wanted that level 2 autonomous driving system, Pro Pilot Assist 2.1, that is going to be optional for the Armada as well. But overall, when it comes to my final thoughts of the Armada, this thing is pretty cool because you do get a twin turbo V6, and normally I'm not a big fan of that, but when it's Nissan doing it, I know they could do it right because of the GTR, so I just think that's kind of cool. So I like the engine. It's plenty of power, so I don't miss the V8 when it comes to the Armada, at least. Luxurious interior, I also like that because part of that is the extremely comfortable seating. That's one of the first things I noticed, like I said, so big fan of that as well. Excellent design. I know it's a little bit on the boxy side of things, but it's very masculine, so very hardcore look to it, if you will. Also like this little since 1951 kind of Easter egg that I just noticed by the cup holders there, so probably should mention that. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Nissan somewhere on the screen there on social media. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel as well. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.